Hey girl, welcome to the Feminine Founder Podcast, where we are all about learning and growing professionally so that we can build a life that we are proud of and really love. My name is Caroline, and I'm a LinkedIn expert obsessed with teaching female entrepreneurs how to start, grow, and scale their personal brand and business on LinkedIn. This podcast is all about sharing our stories and learning from each other on how to navigate our professional journey so that we can live our best lives. So if you are just starting out on your entrepreneurial journey, or you're growing and scaling an epic company, you are in the right place, friends. Today, I have Erin Gerner with me. Erin is a former lawyer turned founder of Powerhouse Lawyers. She helps female lawyers step into their power and create a life that they love. She has a retreat that she hosts called Powerhouse Lawyers and a podcast as well called Powerhouse Lawyers. So welcome, Erin.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here.
Tell me about where you are right now and how did you get there?
Whew, oh my gosh. Can we, the Reader's Digest version, Lord, how long do you have? We might all have to grab a chilled vino glass and get a glass of wine. No, I'm just teasing. So I practiced law for maybe 7 or 8 years. I did everything I was supposed to do. I decided to go to law school. I'm one of these people who have found out there are 2 camps of lawyers. They're either you've wanted to be a lawyer your whole life and you go to law school, or you're like me and don't know what else you're going to do with yourself after you graduate from college. You're putting off your career path. People have told you you're smart, like to talk and argue your entire life, and that you'd probably make a fantastic lawyer. And so off you go to law school. Off I went, totally unprepared for what I was about to encounter. But I did all the things, right? Like they lay out the roadmap. You graduate in the top 10%. You go to big law. You do that. You get the quote unquote dream job in-house, which may or may not be a dream of anything. So here I was in this job in this life, and I figured out very quickly that it was completely unaligned with who I was, who I wanted to be. All of the example, I was always very clear and sure that I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a present mom. And I worked big law for 4 or 5 years of my career and was actually laid off in the 2008 and 2009 recession when everybody was on the news carrying all their stuff out of law firm. Like that was me in big law. And I honestly think that was like God's way of doing that for me, because I'm not sure I would have made that decision on my own. I would have just, kept down the rabbit hole. So I went on to an in-house position. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to have more flexibility, et cetera, et cetera. Also became a mom at that job, and that changed everything. I had no flexibility at that job. I could not work from home. This was pre-COVID, obviously. Seat time was very important. I was told that I would be able to interview for this certain position in the legal department. That did not happen. A series of events. And it was made clear to me, at least in that environment, because I did not have a mentor. I did not have community. It was like, all right, so you can be a great lawyer. You can be a mom. Like this whole in-between situation, like that's not working. And so all I knew, I have so much compassion and grace for that woman. I was said, okay, well, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to stay home with my daughters. And that's what we're going to do. My husband supported that. We were in a position to do that. And I really thought like, okay, if I just rip off that one Band-Aid, then that's going to make me feel so much better because I'm going to get everything that I wanted. Well, what I didn't really understand and what I now know is my identity was so tied to being a lawyer that wasn't going to solve the problem. That was just patching a hole in like the sinking ship, right? So I really needed to figure out who Erin was, what she wanted her life to look like. And that hasn't been cute or perfect. It's been a lot of messy action. But the thing that really was a catalyst for change for my life in particular was I joined a network marketing company about 6 or 7 years ago. And I had done nothing like that before. I was actually practicing part-time law again, because financially we needed to in our family. And I really needed something to do. And I still felt so aligned in this profession. Still didn't have any community. Now I had gone back and actually was doing part-time work for a partner that I used to work for in big law. So I literally went back to the same pain point all these years later, and it still felt very rough. It was like rubbing sandpaper on an open wound. So it was not working. And so here comes this network marketing opportunity. And I was like, wait a second. you can make money? Like, wait. And it was actually founded by a former lawyer, and she started a clean crafted wine company. And I was like, wait a second, she's not a lawyer anymore? How the heck did she do that? And I honestly, it was one of those things where I did not want to do one thing so badly that I was willing to do anything else to try and figure it out. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it put me in community with other women who were dreaming differently, who were thinking differently, who had a totally different perspective on life. It gave me a snapshot of entrepreneurship, like in a nutshell, how to do marketing, how to brand yourself, how to sell, how to build teams, how to be a leader. And in that space, I started coaching hundreds of other women to success and was like, wait a second, this I could brand me. I was like, wait a second. I was like, Erin Gerner can do this. And I was just kept being surrounded by female lawyers. And I just knew that I had an opportunity now in this space, knowing what I know now, to be able to impact and serve and empower female lawyers so they do not feel alone, so they do not feel like they don't have a choice, so they know that they have community and options, things that I never had. And so I birthed Powerhouse Lawyers really out of that heart space. And it's just been a series of messy action, like, started coaching female lawyers one-on-one. And that really led me down the path of questioning, where is the community? Where is the space for these women? I was having so many conversations one-on-one with all these powerhouse women. But again, one-on-one isn't helping any. It is helping, but the bigger picture is, where is the community? Like, where can we all come together and empower each other and share and just blow this thing out of the water? And the answer was, there wasn't a space. And so very naively, I said, well, I'm going to create it, right? Like, here we go. And honestly, I'm so glad I didn't even think about it, because honestly, if I'd given it a second thought, I probably wouldn't have done it. Booked a VBRO and said, I'm having a retreat for female lawyers. The Powerhouse Lawyers retreat was born. I had my first one last year in May. We're having our fourth one in September in Austin, Texas. So I've just kept going and building this community. Always not sure of what's coming next, and knowing what my goal is overall is just to keep building and fostering community for female lawyers. And it's just so much fun.
At what point did you start transitioning out of the legal field and into the community building and coaching space?
You just don't have time to think about it. And I think once I had that first one and I booked that house, and I told my husband, I said, I just booked a VBRO for 8 women in Wimberley, Texas. And he was like, you've never had a retreat before. And who are these people? 8 perfect strangers showed up to that house. And what happened was absolute magic. And then it becomes bigger than you. And you know that you have truly hit on something that women need. And someone has to go first, Caroline. And it's not always, you don't expect to be going first sometimes in these situations, but sometimes you're just called to go first. And you may not have all the answers or all the next steps, but I know that I can provide the space. And I know that I am the person who can make women feel safe and bring these women together in one room where there's no competition and no one really gives a shit about anything else other than you just being a badass. I can do that. I can do that. And so I just did.
If someone is listening to this podcast now and wondering where to start, what would be the first step to take?
The best place to start is you need to ask yourself what you really want. You. Right? You, not anybody else, not what's been modeled for you, not what they told you in law school, not what your mom, dad expects, not what your neighbors expect, not what society expects. What do you want? And if you have a hard time answering that question, much like I did the very first time someone asked me, I was like, what do you mean? What do I want for dinner? Like no one's ever asked me like what I wanted. Like, no one cares what I want, right? Like, we are conditioned to think this in our mind, but we have to ask ourselves that honest question. And if you're having trouble, you need to go back and get still first of all, you're probably running 100 miles an hour at whatever you're doing. And I encourage you to get still, whether that be in nature, whether that be in your car. You need to grab a journal. Don't write while you're driving, but I don't want to encourage that. But you need to get very intentional with yourself. What brings you joy? What are your values? What is important to you? I want you to envision your life 5 years from now. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to envision your life. Who are you working with? Where are you living? What do your friends look like? Where are you going to church? Do you have a dog? Right? Like who are you? What kind of things are you doing? I want you to envision that so crystal clearly that you can nearly taste it. And you work from that space and say, okay, now I've got this. And now I know what's important to me. I know my values. Now we need to start getting into action. Who can help me? It's never the how. We get so caught up in the how. Oh my God, we want to know all the steps. We want a checklist. We want a manual for this thing. There is not that. It's never the how. It's always the who. Who is in your network doing what you want to do? Maybe there isn't someone, maybe that's not in your direct community. Maybe that is a mastermind. Maybe that's a coach. Maybe that's a course. Maybe that's lunch with a mentor. You have to start asking questions to start getting the answers to moving one step closer to your goal. So that was a long-winded answer, but first and foremost, you have to honestly answer, what do you really want and what is important to you, and move from that space and find a mentor and community to help you along the way. Because someone has gone before you, and it's now on you to intentionally put yourself in the rooms with the men and the women who've gone before you and ask them the questions.
How can our listeners find you?
So you can find me at Erin Gerner. It's ERINGERNER. That's where I am. That's my name. Obviously, it's on all platforms. ErinGerner.com. You can book a coffee chat with me. I've opened up my calendar to see if we're a good fit. You can go learn about my retreat. I also host happy hours every other Thursday, free virtually for my community, just to give women a space to come and connect, resonate, idea share, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, follow me on social media, send me a DM. If you are a female lawyer and you're looking for community and connection, come to the Powerhouse Lawyers retreat, September 27th through the 30th at the gorgeous Miraval in Austin, Texas. And you can also tune into the Powerhouse Lawyers podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. It felt like an advertisement.